We are joined by attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out. 3 sports stories. Well, they're usually sports stories, and during the football season, usually about the 2 D1 football teams and what I still consider the best team in D3, the Johnnies. I don't care if they lost to Bethel. They'll prove it now the playoffs are starting. Johnnies in the playoffs. We'll talk about that, give you that lowdown in a moment. But first, how about those Gophers, huh? I don't think there's any body surfing after that game by the head coach.
Well, I don't know. They instead of they got 3 points against Ohio State, they got 3 points against Iowa to avoid shutouts. This time they got 2 field goals and a touchdown. So
wow, they're coming. They're getting better. They're coming on.
Yep. No crowd, no body surfing, but I'm sure that Mark Coyle is readying another contract extension today.
Yeah, give this guy another extension. There's no doubt in my mind. I will be more surprised if that doesn't happen than if it does. Meantime, you got guys losing jobs at major programs because they didn't keep their team in the top 10 or in the the playoff contention. This is pathetic. And they've lost the thing about, it's tough or blah. When Kurt Signetti took over Indiana a couple of years ago, he has turned that team around very quickly, and they were more of a doormat than the Gophers have been. So, there's no excuse.
There's a lot of talk. PJ Fleck likes to use the NIL stuff as the reason why the Gophers are where they are. But
he needs an excuse.
You mentioned Signetti. Signetti went out and made nice with a Indiana alum by the name of Mark Cuban to fund their NIL activities, and that's a big part of why they are where they are. So if Coach Fleck is upset about the lack of NIL funds, he should look in the mirror because there's a lot of Gopher alums around here with money, and he just apparently hasn't impressed them enough to have them open the checkbook up.
Well, there's also a decent number of billionaires in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That probably have ties to Minnesota if it wasn't them specifically, but relatives who went.
Yeah.
The Poleheads go to the U, like they're going to come up with money. I'm just curious if any of them went to the U.
I don't know if they did or not, but yeah, they don't spend money on their own team, so I don't know.
But I mean, also you've got the whole, the McMillan family, right?
Yep.
And that whole side of the family that is one of the richest in the world. Right, with Cargill, the Cargill money, you got the GM money. Yep. You got a lot of money here in Minnesota. How come he's not tapping into that?
He apparently hasn't been able to convince them to give it. So,
well, maybe because they find him as foolish as others do with all that body surfing and the rah-rah stuff. That may work with an 18-year-old kid. It doesn't work with the upper crust moneyed folk, apparently. All right, let's hear about your Tommies. They lost.
They lost. They had a shot at being at Pioneer League Conference champs. Had they beaten Presbyterian, and Drake would have lost to Dayton, and the opposite happened in both cases. Drake won and St. Thomas lost. So Drake will be the Pioneer League Conference champ 3rd straight year. Tommy's season will end next week, but will end with an interesting game in that they will be playing North Dakota State in Fargo. So this will be the first time that they face the best team in the FCS. So we'll see where they measure up.
That's what you call a measuring stick.
Yeah, I call it the Ric Flair game. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. So let's see where they line up against the best in that division, and be building on from there. So like we said before in the season, Bob, you lose one game in a conference like that, you might be able to recover. You lose 2 and you can't. And they lost 2 early, and that was it. Well,
and now we get to the Johnnies, who, I was under the impression, because they'd been doing it, there's no longer, and I did not realize this, I should have paid closer attention, there's no longer a MIAC playoff. They had it for a short period of time. It was short-lived, but didn't matter because they got into the D3 playoffs, which is all you really want to be able to do. And I got to be honest with you, Bethel overall is ranked 4th with a 10-0 record, right? Mm-hmm. The Johnnies are ranked 7th with the 9-1 record. Looking at it, I'd be happy if I'm a Johnny fan with the bracket they got, because they're not in the bracket with North Central Illinois, which is they're 10-0. And number 1, Mount Union is 10-0 and ranked number 2. So they're not on that side of the bracket, which is kind of odd, though, that they wouldn't be No, actually, they would have to beat Mount Union if they were to win their side of the bracket. There's two brackets, basically.
Yeah,
the way it's
if they
broken
wanna-
up.
yeah.
But they would have to get by Mount Union,
stuff,
but they would not
For those
have to
that-
play North Central.
Yeah, for the listeners that don't know, the D3 playoffs are run like the NCAA with the bracket. So there's like a Final Four, and 4 to 4 teams. They don't make a big deal of it like the Final Four in basketball or hockey.
Yes.
But they have, they get to there's different regions, and then someone wins the region, and then they play the winner of the other region. So the region that the side of the bracket that the Johnnies are in the past, when they've been in here with these at-large bids, Bob, they've had some pretty tough draws in these brackets, and this is, and in some cases they've had them drawn into the same bracket as, say, Bethel. This is a better one, and it almost looks like it's designed to see some of the perennial teams, strong teams, possibly get some games against each other, because you got Whitewater and the Johnnies in the one, you got River Falls in there, Mount Union on a totally different one. Like you said, Bethel's in the bracket with North Central. Looking through here and just
they don't have what they don't have is the Johnnies don't have like what we would call a play-in game. They don't have to have that.
The play-in games are next weekend, basically.
Neither Bethel nor the Johnnies have a play-in game.
Correct. And then so they'll play November 29th, the winner of they'll play Monmouth, and then if they win there, then you got River Falls at plays the winner of the play-in game, and so it's very likely that the winner of the St. John's Monmouth game would be playing.
Monmouth is, presumably they should. This is a team they're 9-1 as well, but they're ranked 25th. And it's not. It's by no means easy. Yeah, if they win it, they in all likelihood will play UW River Falls, which has not been a great program until this year. They're 9-1. So it's going to be it's going to be very interesting.
And they get a home game too. So that game they play against Monmouth is at home.
Yeah. So it's going to be it's a fun opportunity. And you know what? If you want to be the best, like you said, you've got to beat the best. And they could beat these teams. There's no team that in this in D3 that they cannot beat. Because they have this program has won 3 national titles.
And that's the key thing. And what St. John's has going for it is their current coach was an assistant for the coach that won those national titles. So he knows a little something about, how to get a team prepared for postseason play.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But I'm not a Johnny alumni. My son is. He's he played rugby there, and much tougher than football. You don't wear pads. But anyway, it's going to be it'll be good for them and fun for them. So we'll see how that one plays out. And just give me your capsulized 1 sentence or 1 paragraph overview of your Minnesota Vikings.
They're a mess.
That says it. That says it.
They're an absolute mess.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that one. And I think I put it all at the coach. And I talked to Dave Bialke about this. He should have. Keeping Darnold, they would not going to be able to sign him for 3 years because that would have been foolish. But they could have told Daniel Jones, "We're keeping you for a year, and you'll, unless you completely screw up, you'll be our starter. We want the other kid to get." How does he not know the kid wasn't ready? There were glimpses of him being ready, but he's so dang erratic. Now, at the end of the game, he looked great, but leading up to the end of the game, much like the first game, he didn't. He looked terrible. All right.
They need to have a season or two like this, Bob. The good teams. We all know that you amass these these top draft picks and sign them for rookie deals, and that's what usually is what the successful teams do. The Vikings never peak they don't have the peaks and valleys. They have just kind of like straight line across, which is kind of like just slightly above average, right?
Yes.
So they never advance any further because they hit a ceiling. They need to have basically needed to throw them in there and have them try to figure things out.
Yeah, well, that's what the process is right now.
Yeah, but who would have thought that the Bears would be in first place in the division?
Not this guy. All right, Jeff, Thank you so much. Jeff O'Brien. We'll take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.